Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be a cold winter, I think.
Definitely.
And what do you have coming up for us today?
Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the sign of Taurus, mainly because we're in the sign of Scorpio right now, and the opposite of it is the sign of Taurus. So I want to give a little uplift to the idea of what's coming ahead in 6 months' time when the sun moves into the sign of Taurus, and really what the process is of what we're going to be going through for the next 6 months. It's a time of sleeping, and we talk about, in spiritual and psychological areas, we talk about the two breasts, the breasts of being and the breasts of doing. And I think really now, when the earth is going to sleep, it's a time of being. So it's a time that we have to pay particular attention to our dreams. We have to recognize things having to do with the environment, and realize that now is the time to plan what it is that we may be able to do to change our environment or to help our environment when the spring comes. Because right now, of course, it's not easy to do a whole lot about the environment. The earth is getting hard, and we can't really deal with the different factors that happen, that come up right now. But we can plan to do something new about it in the spring. And, this can happen in all different kinds of areas, whether it's, in planting new foods or in learning how to take care of different waste materials. There are new ways to look at it always, and I think that the environmental concerns are things that have to be looked at differently, even though we've been doing it. The UN conference in Stockholm in 1971 was the first time really that there was world concern about things like the ozone and cars and how can we keep the environment safe. And then the UN conference in 1992, was it 92, I think, or 93? It was 20 years later. They were bringing it back full cycle, talking about, what have we done in the last 20 years, and how can we make it even better? And these are issues that are ongoing, and we have to continually think about how we can help our environment in new and different ways.
Well, I'm glad you're saying that, Mary Michele, because this is a topic very close to my heart, and seems to be one close to yours as well.
Exactly.
Are you a Taurus?
No, I have the moon in Taurus.
I would have guessed that you were a Taurus. I don't know why.
Well, the hat today makes me look a little bit like that.
What are you? What sign are you?
I'm a Virgo.
Oh, you're a Virgo.
Yeah. But they're both earth signs, so I'm very interested in the earth and all things to do with the earth, and I think it's important. Actually, I went to a conference last night, or a lecture, having to do with the Westchester Land Trust, that had various speakers, and I just wanted to mention the people that were there because they were discussing this problem of the earth and the environment from a spiritual point of view. And there was a Zen Buddhist priest called Susan Yehan Postel. There was an Episcopalian priest called Claire Woodley Atchison. There was a rabbi, Douglas Krantz, and a speaker who has worked with these environmental concerns at the UN and also spoken at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York, an Irishman called Daniel Martin. And the Westchester Land Trust, I think, is an organization that does a lot into looking at different ways that we can help our environment. And, these are issues that go back a long time, and astrology talks about this with the different elements. There are 4 elements in astrology: earth, water, fire, and air. And, the ancients in Egypt and also in Greece and in other areas, people always talked a lot about the nature of water and the floods. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, Noah and the flood. It had symbolic meaning, but it also had very literal meaning, things that are based in nature, and how can we work with floods, the nature of flooding. Okay, I think there's a phone call, so I'm going to go.
We do. We have our first caller on the line. It's Daniel. He's from Mount Kisco, and his date of birth is November 10th, 1969. And let me pull him up here, if you'll bear with me for a second.
Okay.
Hello, Daniel. Are you there?
Hi, Daniel.
Hi, how are you?
Did you have a particular question, Daniel?
Yes, just wanted to know about my future.
Wanted to know about your future. Okay. November 10th. You were born with the sun in Scorpio, as you know, and the moon in, Sagittarius. Mercury in Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio, Mars in Aquarius. Okay, there's a lot of Scorpio things here, but you also have this ability with Mars and Aquarius to be able to look at things from a little bit of a new point of view. The last 10 years have been a tough time for Scorpio. Actually, today, the planet Pluto that rules it is moving on into the sign of Sagittarius. So there should be a big shift of energy that you might have started to feel even in the spring, this past spring. And then, maybe you got pulled down back into the same patterns that weren't making you happy. But perhaps now you're feeling like there's a shift. Do you see that possibility?
Yeah, right, because I graduated in June. Become an architect.
Wonderful.
And then I'm going to school to continue my education. And working on the side, so.
Well, I think you're going to have a lot of energy to do all of those things. It might come more towards the end of the month, the end of November, in terms of having the energy that you need and want to be able to do all these different projects, but I think you're going to be in very good shape now. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Thank you. And Mary Michele, we have another caller on the line. This is Rose, and she's from Granite Springs. Her birthday is 1941, and it's November 9th.
Oh, another Scorpio.
Rose?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Rose.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. Okay, November 9th, 1941, right?
Right.
Okay. You have the sun in Scorpio, as you know, and the moon in Cancer. This is a very nice aspect. There's a good flow between your conscious and your unconscious. Both Cancer and Scorpio are water signs. So the ability to understand things in probably more of a feeling nature, your sense of people, you probably trust your intuition to a certain degree. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Oh, good. Okay. You have Mercury in Libra, Venus in Capricorn, Mars in Aries. Let's see. You have Mars in its own sign. You have Venus in kind of a tough place. Do you work?
No, not right now.
Have you worked in the past?
Yeah.
Would you say that when you were working that you dealt well with the people that you were working with, that you...
Certainly.
Yeah. You have ease with the partners that you have some kind of working relationship with. In terms of the more intimate personal relationships, you might have felt a little like you gave your power away, that the relationships where there was a man in your life, perhaps at times you might have felt that you allowed him to... I can't hear, Laurie.
I didn't say anything.
I'm sorry?
I haven't said anything.
No, I know, but the mic went dead, and I wanted to be, because I was getting ready to ask you, do you think there's some truth to this?
With personal relationship, yes.
Yeah. So is your question of a personal nature? Are you asking me something about what's happening personally for you?
No, not really. Well, yes and no. I want to know whether you see me going back to work.
Oh, yes. You should be able to. Are you looking for a job right now?
No.
You're not. Would you like to?
No.
Oh, all right. Well, I think that you have a healthy attitude about, the way in which you work. So if you're feeling like it's not a good time, that you don't want to go back to work, I think that you're clear about that, and you should trust your intuition about that. Is there a need for you to go back to work? Do you need to make money?
No.
No?
I think so.
No. Okay, well then I don't see any reason. I think you just have to trust your instincts on that. I'm a little unclear as to why you asked about it if there isn't a need.
I want to enjoy my leisure. I've been working a long time.
Well, I think you will.
And I want to spend some more time with my grown-up family. And have some fun.
I think fun is a terribly good idea, and with Pluto moving on into Sagittarius, you're ready to have fun. You've had 10 years of not much fun.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, it's moving. So now you're ready. And go do it.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back, and we'll be taking your calls. 241-1310. You're watching WVIP, 1310 a.m. and Cable Channel 12. We'll be right back with more Mary Michele after these messages.
So you're on your way to meet your fiancé's parents at their favorite restaurant. You've spent the last 45 minutes trying to decide whether to wear the blue tie with the brown pants or the brown tie with the blue pants. And now you're late. On your way to the restaurant, you've hit every red light, 17 of them to be precise. By the time you arrive, you're 30 minutes late. Boy, are they thrilled. But then you look up, and there it is on the TV monitor. Quick draw from the New York Lottery. And you decide to pick some numbers. 45, 17, and 30. Then you throw in 7, too, because it's your lucky number, and it's looking like you're going to need all the luck you can get. And heck, even if you only match some of them, you could still win something. So you watch the monitor, and next thing you know, you've won $550, which means you can pick up the check for dinner tonight. That ought to impress them. Quick Draw from the New York Lottery. A game this great only comes along once every 5 minutes.
There's a lot of great shows on cable, but what I want to know is how can I find out what's really worth watching?
On cable.
Of course on cable, that's what I'm talking about. How do I find the best stuff on cable?
That's where.
What's where?
On cable from E! Entertainment Television. Every week you'll see previews of the best movies, sports, specials, documentaries.
On cable?
Sure. They'll even tell you how to find shows the whole family can watch together without blindfolding the kids.
They'll tell me on cable?
Certainly.
But what's the name of the show?
On cable.
So, if I want to find out what's on cable, I have to watch on cable.
Now, that's the first thing you've said that makes any sense.
I have no idea what I'm talking about.
And to order, call Cablevision of Yorktown 962-4444.
I get it. The name of the show is On Cable.
Right. It's the show to watch before you watch.
Oh, wait a minute. I should watch the show before I watch?
Naturally.
I'm going to take up baseball.
1310 a.m. and Cable Channel 12. You're with us for Meet the VIPs with Mary Michele. We're taking your calls today. Our number is 241-1310. She'll do your reading for the next week. If you have any questions, personal, business, or any other kind of questions, she's here and at your service. We have another call on the line right now. It's Stephanie from Yorktown, and her birthday is 1955, December 22nd. Hello, Stephanie.
Good morning.
Welcome to WVIP.
Thank you very much.
You're on the line with Mary Michele.
Morning, Mary Michele. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Stephanie?
I'm hanging in there.
Good. Okay, December 22nd, 1955. You have, you're born the last day of Sagittarius. No, wait a minute. Let's see. No.
First day of Capricorn, isn't it?
Well, it changes that day. Have you ever had your chart done?
Yes, I'm a cusp person. They told me 7 days prior, 7 days after, or something to that effect. I'm not quite sure how it works.
No, right. But I mean, did someone tell you specifically whether it was in Capricorn or in Sagittarius?
No, they never specified that.
Uh-huh. Well, the thing is that you need to do the calculations. So if you want to have a chart done, you can just look in the back of any of these New Age magazines or astrology magazines, and most computer printouts could do just a technical chart for you for a very small amount of money, maybe $5. Of course, a reading costs more than that. But anyway, this being on the cusp, in terms of the Sagittarius Capricorn energy. You have the moon in Aries, so the moon, we know where that is. If it's, it is not in a necessarily harmonious angle to the sun in Capricorn. So really the question would be is how do you feel about your ability to blend your conscious and your unconscious self? Do you feel that you pay attention to your intuition?
Oh, very much so. I sort of have that little intuition that some people think I'm crazy half the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then the odds are probably that you have the sun in Sagittarius, because that's a harmonious angle then to the moon, and that would mean that you have an understanding, and they're both fire signs, so there would be a lot of inspiration. Fire is about inspiration. Are you in any of the, do you have a profession where you do a lot of talking?
Oh, yes. I used to be a training instructor, so I do a lot of speaking at that point.
Well, that's really important. I think that you probably are someone that can help people to feel better about themselves, and that's a positive thing. You have Mercury in Capricorn. You have Venus in Capricorn. Are you calling me about issues surrounding money?
That's one, and another is about personal relationship.
Mm-hmm.
A little turmoil.
A little turmoil. I think the money issues are things that perhaps preoccupy you more than is absolutely necessary. I would think that you're probably very good at making money, but there's probably a little bit of a feeling that there's never quite enough. So I think you have to feel as good as you are at inspiring people and talking to them and making them feel good about themselves. You have to make yourself feel good in terms of the amount of money that you make, and feel, that you do better than you think you do.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And in terms of your personal relationships, is there someone in particular that you have?
Well, my husband and his family pretty much doesn't accept our marriage at this point, so I'm a little leery about what the future is going to hold in that regard, but I guess I have to accept what comes my way.
Well, you're going to have a lot more energy to try to help them see a different point of view with this planet Pluto moving on. You have Mars, the planet of energy and war, but also just, trying to have some force behind having people see that there are other ways of looking at things in the sign of Scorpio. So you've kind of been held back from expressing yourself as much as you would like in many different areas. But certainly the in-laws would be one that you might have felt very subjugated by. And I think that with this, Pluto moving on into Sagittarius, you might have to re-examine the way you perceive the family, and really ask yourself the question of why is it that they have such trouble accepting you, and is there some way that you could change? And by coming at it from that point of view, you can then offer. You're coming to the table with an offering, and I think that you'll be able to convince them that there's a lot more to you than they realize.
Yeah, that's super. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for calling. And we have another call on the line, Mary Michele. Busy, busy, busy. Her name is Tony. She's born 1929, and her date is November 2nd. Hi, Tony. How are you? Tony, are you there?
I am.
How are you today, Tony?
Fine, thank you.
Happy Friday.
So happy to get.
Happy Friday to you. You're on the line with Mary Michele.
Right, thank you. Should I ask the questions first?
Sure.
Oh, okay. I just would like to know what the future, if would I be retiring or making a different life, and will I be moving? These things have been on my mind a long time.
Okay, you have the Sun and the Moon and Mars all in the sign of Scorpio. You have Mercury and Venus in Libra. Do you know where you would like to move?
Either upstate or to the Carolinas.
I would say someplace warm. You're very much, with Mercury and Venus in Libra, there is a real appreciation of beauty and the outdoors and so on. So I think it might be important for you to be in an environment where you can be outdoors more. Do you enjoy the outdoors? Do you have a garden?
I do.
I think that, planting the garden is something that you need to spend as much time as you can with. And, if you move up north, it's going to be a limited a limited time.
Well, the only thing why I'm, you know what, my problem is that I have many grandchildren, and my children live upstate, so I am alone.
Well, what's in the Carolinas?
Well, just, you know, I have friends there, no relatives.
Well,
that's my dilemma.
Have you been down? Have you spent time in the Carolinas?
Yeah, I've visited friends, but not for a long period of time, just vacation.
I think the thing is that, is it possible for you to be able to go down there and spend maybe a month or two?
I'm not sure on that one.
I think if you can try to set that up, if you can go and spend a little time there and see how that works. I mean, it's probably possible for you to go upstate and spend, you know, a couple of months with your children before you decide to make this move.
Right.
But I think you want to really look into the possibility of checking it out in the South as well, you know, giving yourself a good time period to see whether you feel comfortable with it or not. I think the decision to do this is something that is not going to happen right away.
Right.
But you're going to feel now that it's going to be easier to make the decision, and the way that you're coming to making the decision is going to be easier for you than it would have been, say, 6 months ago.
Right.
So just know that trust your intuition and your sense of things. You have the Sun Moon conjunct in the sign of Scorpio. That means that you're very, very focused. And Scorpio is a fixed sign, so there's this need to, you know, make a very firm, focused decision. But I don't think there's as much of a rush. There's not as much of a panic as there might have been a little bit, you know, in the recent past. So I think what you want to try and do is just give yourself as much time. And it will come. You know, your decision will come. And either way, I think it's going to be a good one.
Ask also, do you see with me any change in the job, like being laid off or retired or something to that effect?
I think that your areas of making money are also in a much healthier place than they've been. Do you have investments?
No, not really.
But, I mean, will you be getting money from the government, or will you be getting money on a regular basis other than your work?
Yes.
I think that you don't really need to worry about the work. I think that if you feel like you would like to work because it's going to keep you active and you would enjoy working, I think that you can do that. But otherwise, I don't think it's absolutely necessary to worry about making money.
Right.
Okay?
Okay, thank you for calling, Tony. We're going to take another quick break, and then we'll be back again answering your calls. We're here, WVIP 241-1310 for your calls for Mary Michele, and we'll be right back with you after this quick break.
The holidays are almost here. You can find all your party and holiday needs in one store. Where's the Party? Festive Thanksgiving decorations, Hanukkah candles, and beautiful balloon wreaths for Christmas. You name it, they'll make it. Party stuff for all ages and all themes. Tree trimming, wrapping paper, ribbons, bows, accessories, and more. Whether you need 1 or 100, they have it all. They'll even design and decorate your party for you. Where's the Party? Your party supply store. Chock full of all your party and holiday needs. Where's the Party? 742 North Bedford Road, Bedford Hills, across from ShopRite. Where's the Party? Come in today, 666-2030, 666-2030. In just one instant, disaster can strike your home, whether due to fire, flooding, or roof collapse. Any accident that necessitates an evacuation, major repair, or cleanup effort can leave your family on the street with no place to go and no one to turn to. Now introducing Personal Disaster Recovery Service. PDRS dispatches qualified personnel anytime, day or night, to assist with temporary lodging and a cash advance of up to $500. PDRS will dispatch dispatch a contractor to board and secure the damaged areas to protect from unwanted intruders. They'll even secure kennel facilities for the family's pet. If you travel for business, have elderly parents, or are a seasonal resident, when disaster strikes, Personal Disaster Recovery Service is your advocate on the scene until you personally can take charge. When disaster strikes, Personal Disaster Recovery Service is there with the same security and safety plan already in use by most major corporations. For peace of mind, call 1-800-435-7016. That's 1-800-HELP-016. The first 10 callers to review the PDRS plan will receive a free personal home fire extinguisher. Call 1-800-HELP-016. Sleep soundly knowing if disaster strikes, PDRS is there to help. Dial 1-800-HELP-016 right now.
1310 a.m. and cable channel 12 WVIP. It's Friday afternoon, and hey, you know what that means. We have Mary Michele here in the studio. We're taking your calls. Please call in if you have any questions. The number 241-1310, and we have another caller on the line for you, Mary Michele.
Okay.
Busy. This is Liesel, 1936, May 19th. Liesel, hi, how are you?
Oh, fine, thank you.
Good morning, Liesel.
About my future and my health and what's in store for me.
Okay. May 19th, 1936.
Yes.
You have the sun in Taurus, as you know, and the moon in Taurus. So you were born at the new moon. You have Mercury in Gemini and Venus in Taurus. Do you have a health issue at the moment? Is there something with your health?
No, not really.
Yeah.
A broken heart. My son left. He moved to Switzerland on me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, you know, your issues and the way you would hold things in the body would probably be in the chest area. Did you get a cold when he left?
No. I have a smoker's problem.
You have a smoker's problem. Right. Well, the reason why people smoke as a rule is because they're trying to relieve a certain amount of tension. And, you know...
Please deposit 10 cents for the next 5 minutes, or your call will be interrupted. Thank you.
Anyway, I think the thing about the smoking, if you can just try to, particularly in times of stress, if you can try to lessen it. You know, it's better to, when you know that you're going to be under pressure, to try to give yourself ways in which you can perhaps have a little more fun. And with a lot of planets in Taurus, you're somebody that definitely likes fun and, you know, pleasures and sensuous things that have to do with the five senses. What kind of things do you like to do? What is the thing that makes you the happiest?
Oh, mostly anything.
Yeah?
Mostly anything.
Do you like to get outside and work in the garden?
Be outside, sitting in the sun.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that you just have to do as much of that as possible. And I think that, is your son going to be able to come back and see you?
No, he moved there.
Well, I know, but can he come back for a visit?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And perhaps you might even take a trip. Have you ever been to Europe?
That's true.
Have you been there?
Yes, many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Going back next year.
Oh, well, that's great. You see, that's something to look forward to. I think in terms of your health that, you know, as long as you're sensible, and Taurus is a rule with the moon in Taurus, the sun in Taurus, and these, you know, various things, you are a pretty sensible person. If you feel like studying something, it's probably a good time towards the end of November to go back and study something.
Okay.
All right?
I thank you very much.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you for calling, Liesel. And we're here with you on WVIP, taking your calls for your astrological predictions with Mary Michele. Our number, 241-1310, so call in now. And Mary Michele, I have a question for you. The holidays are coming along. It's such a high-stress time. People going to see their families, so many plans to make, so many gifts to buy. What do you see the prediction for this holiday season? Any trend that you're noticing?
You know, I think that the 7 planets in Sagittarius that's happening the end of November around Thanksgiving, it's a time that people are looking for spiritual values in ways that they haven't in quite some time. And the nature of spiritual values are things that we all have to come to, in our own belief system, and we have to work very hard at trying to figure out what it is that we believe in, and we have to be very tolerant of what other people believe. And I think that the nature of the holidays this year is going to be more about really trying to understand of what it is that we actually need, and not so much what it is that we want. It doesn't mean that they're going to be presents, and there's going to be lots of food, and there's going to be lots of fun. But I think that people are really going to be examining quite closely how they relate to themselves as an individual, so that they can then go